Throughout year 12 and year 13, there became a growing trend in my school. There was this one cafe in our city that became known as the studying cafe. And so, in the weeks leading up to any mocks or any actual exams we had, there was a really common trend of people in my school going to that cafe to study. I never went. Why? Well, from the start, I knew it was a scam. I knew that studying with your friends is just cope. Don't get me wrong, there might be some instances where you could benefit from studying with friends, but 95% of the time, the harm outweighs the benefit. But how did I know it was a scam though? Well, throughout my GCSEs, I myself had a phase where I would study with my friends. It was a very small phase though, because I quickly realized how useless it was. There's two types of studying with your friends, when you're studying the same subject and when you're studying a completely different subject. There could be some justifications of studying with your friends when you're all doing the same subjects, which we're gonna go through. But studying with your friends when you're all doing different subjects is 100% the most useless thing you can do. If we boil it down, the only thing you get out of it is just being around your friends while studying. But is that a harm or a benefit though? Well, think of how many times you've studied with your friends. Maybe you start off well, you do practice questions or flashcards until one of your friends starts talking about something random and then another one joins in. Next thing you know, the whole session has turned into a group hangout. You're all talking and laughing and the chance that you get back to focusing is quite low. Does that sound like a harm or a benefit? I'm not saying be a robot who only studies and doesn't socialize, but there's no point in mixing them. The purpose of a studying session, believe it or not, is to actually study. So what's the point of tarnishing the purpose and turning it into a hangout session? That's all you get out of studying sessions when everyone else is studying different subjects. Instead, I like to have time for effective and efficient studying, and then I have separate time for socializing. It makes it so I can have effective studying with no distractions, and then I have the rest of the day to do whatever I want, including going out with friends and socializing. Socializing that's actually meaningful, without the guilt in the back of my mind telling me that I should probably be studying right now, because I know that I've already studied for that day. Don't mix the two, keep them separate. Also, what does this say about you if you always want to study with your friends? Well, let's think about it. Studying alone is so boring that I need to have my friends around. You're basically saying that your attention span is so short that you can't sit down on your own and study. You have to have friends around you. You know what it sounds like? One of those TikToks that has Subway Surfers playing at the bottom to keep your attention. But sometimes our brains do convince us to study with friends because we're all going to be doing the same subject, so we can all help each other, right? Here's why that never works out. Firstly, it's always a lose-lose situation. Let's say me and you are going to study physics together and you're slightly better at physics than me. Every time I don't understand something, I'll ask you. Since you have a better understanding of physics, most of the session will just be me asking you questions, not the other way around. You haven't benefited because I keep on asking you questions and so distracting you from actually studying. It would make more sense for me to ask someone who actually has an in-depth understanding of physics, like a teacher or a tutor or even ChatGPT. And so it's a lose-lose situation. Not only that, in group sessions when everyone is studying the same subject, you might feel pressured to move on from a topic that everyone else understands, but you don't. You just subconsciously feel like you don't want to hold anyone back, and so you skip over a topic that you might find hard. That defies the whole purpose of a studying session, just to find what you might feel is challenging and then tackle it. But if everyone else finds it easy, you might feel compelled to just skip over it. Also, if you've watched a couple of my videos, you know that I put a huge emphasis on where and when to study, not only how you study. Studying with your friends completely compromises this aspect. The more people attending the studying session, the harder it is for you to coordinate what time it's going to be. I believe in studying as early as possible in the day because that's when your brain is as refreshed as possible. But if we're being realistic, most of the group studying sessions will happen in the afternoon or even evening, a time when your brain won't be at its peak optimal performance to get in a proper, efficient studying session. And that compromises the effectiveness of all of your studying. Not only that though, if you've watched the legendary video titled Study Less, Study Smart, which I've made a summary of, which you could watch right here, you would know that the place you study has a huge impact on the effectiveness of your studying. To keep it short, it's recommended to have one place dedicated to just studying, so that the only purpose our brain associates with that place is studying. For example, if I study on my bed, I might start feeling sleepy. If I study on the dining table, I might start feeling hungry, and so on. That's because all of these places have primary functions other than studying. That's why it's recommended to have a place dedicated to just studying. But studying with your friends will ruin that, and let me explain. When you're constantly going to different places to study with your friends, cafes, libraries, parks, you're giving your brain different places that are associated with studying, not just one place. And so your brain won't have that one place that it knows is 100% dedicated to studying. So any place you study in from now on, your brain won't be as dialed in as it could be. Also take into account the amount of time it takes to plan, to get ready, to commute to and from these group studying sessions. Imagine you use that time to study instead. I truly believe that avoiding the trap of studying with my friends was one of the factors that led to my success in GCSE and A-levels, and it could be part of yours too. And if you want to get your top grades in your GCSEs, check out that program that I've created, the first link in the description. There's nothing like it on the internet that will guide you through every single step you need to get the top grades in your GCSEs.